Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be giving you a look at the new Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Netflix series Autobot Hound toy. This figure is a direct re-echo of the Siege Hound figure, and from what I can see so far of it, has the least number of discernible differences between the Siege toy and the new version. Maybe I'm wrong. Once I get them out of the packaging and look, I'll probably find some more things that you can use to tell them apart. Though I imagine Hound wasn't a terribly popular mold in Siege, and because this one is so similar to that one, I can see it shelf warming pretty badly at the Walmarts. Doesn't hurt that he comes two to a case. He was actually the only toy that had any leftover copies after I had gone and just swooped in like a predator for the whole Netflix wave. I really lucked out there, by the way. So yeah, I can imagine Hound's going to be sitting on the pegs for a while. I mean, some places still have Siege Hound on the pegs, so, you know. But anyway, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Hound's packaging. We'll open it up. We'll see his instructions. We'll see his background piece that it comes with for the little Autobot arc scene. And then we'll see Hound himself in both his vehicle and robot modes. I'll do some group shots with the regular Siege Hound so you can see how they compare to one another. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. Now Hound, just like his wave mates, comes in this new kind of Netflix-specific packaging. Very similar to the Siege, but just different coloration, different stylization choices. You can see him right here in the front. You can see his weapons there off to the side, which they seem to be new colors, so they're more monochrome than his regular weapons. Here they have the same artwork that they used for Siege, complete with Hotshot's head instead of Hound's, so they couldn't be bothered to even fix the artwork. That's the same issue they have with the Siege version, which tipped a lot of people off to the inevitable Hotspot redeco, retool, which I forgot about him. He'll definitely be in this review too. Got to get the full group in here. Here on the back, you get the renders of Hound, which, like the other toys, are the same renders used for the Siege version, just with updated colors. Takes 14 steps to transform, so not overly complicated, kind of light. And then here on the side, you get the new Netflix version of the Siege artwork. All right, here's Hound's instructions. Open this up. Shows you how you can combine all of his weapons into one big old long gun that you can have him wield or put on his shoulder, like shown here. And then just the instructions to transform him to his Jeep mode, as well as how you're supposed to mount all his weapons in the vehicle mode. So there you go. And then here we have his piece of the Teletran 1 backdrop. You can see a lot going on here. This appears to be the main console, and it has a wireframe render of the Earthrise Optimus Prime toy on it. A little bit of cross-sell there, huh? Which is actually funny, because this is Siege, not Earthrise. But, you know, gotta advertise what's on shelves, right? So overall, you can see this is seems to be the centerpiece portion of the overall thing, so pretty neat. So guys, here it is, the complete backdrop. Except, you might notice something. It's not complete. Like, I'm pretty shocked because I thought that these 5 toys were supposed to complete it, but as you can see, you got 3 background pieces and 2 floor pieces, and they don't line up. You have some letters that basically point to nowhere, right? There's no corresponding connections for like E, H, B, I, N, like. So that's a bit of an unexpected turn of events for me. I had no idea that there were going to be more pieces. I guess this confirms there will be at least a second wave of these toys, so I guess that in of itself is a really nice little Easter egg. Lets you know there's more on the way. Though now I'm disappointed I don't have a finished backdrop. But the good news is that when this is done, it'll be a lot bigger. So pretty happy about that. And it's got me really wondering what's going to come next. I'm assuming the remaining pieces will be included with the Deluxes again. So what are we going to get? What are they going to do? This ought to be interesting. All right, here we have Hound's vehicle mode. His unlicensed Jeep base mode. And you can see it's got a lot of gray on it. Also, this wheel is very loose. Get to that in a second. Yeah, I mean, half of the vehicle's just done up in this gray color. I mean, even the doors, canopy, everything. It almost looks unfinished, honestly. It looks kind of like a prototype or something. I don't know why they went this route with it. Like, I know all of the Netflix toys, or the Autobots anyway, have a lot more gray on them than their Siege counterparts. But this is like they weren't even trying, right? It's not blended in. It's just some parts are gray, some parts aren't. And I find that very strange. I mean, look at the cutoff here. That doesn't look right. There's no green paint to fade this in or anything. Oh, I take that back. There's some in the middle here, but these lines are very defined and they just don't look very good. The weapon is gray and just blends with the rest of them. Let's talk about this wheel. I don't know how universal this problem will be, but this little wheel piece is meant to go on here, right? It'll go on there, but it's extremely loose. There's no friction holding it on, it's just gravity. And I don't have that issue with any other versions I have this mold. So I don't know if this is like a one-off issue or if maybe the mold itself is starting to get worn out. But I'm not happy about that because it just jiggles around there. It looks terrible. As far as the rest of them, same old issues with the Hound mold, the whole visible fist thing. So if that bothered you before, it'll bother you now. The one good side is that on this version, the insides of those forms are painted. Well, they're not painted, they're just flat gray, so at least they don't stick out as much. So, yeah. That's the vehicle mode. The oddly color-lacking vehicle mode. All right, here we have the lineup with the mold mates. Obviously, Hotshot is just going to be way out there with the colors, so let's focus on these two. And I don't know what happened. Like, this just seems so unfinished compared to the regular version. And I mean, he's got a bunch of paint on his weapons, even on a little wheel piece. This one doesn't have any. The battle damage paint applications, while some people may not be a huge fan of them, they do at least drive up the value of the figure because they're putting more paint on it. This, aside from some kind of scraping look on his little painted stripe in the front, is just really non-existent. It's honestly like they weren't even trying. I don't understand why they did this the way they did. The other deluxe figures I reviewed, I felt that they were, at least as good as, if not slightly better than the originals. This just feels like a downgrade, and I don't even have it in robot mode yet. This is just the Jeep, and it looks like a prototype. It doesn't look great. So I'm feeling like they really dropped the ball here. I can't find one part of this that I think is better than the original. Okay, here's Hound's robot mode, and you can see I have his weapons configured into the big old ginormous shoulder cannon, and I did that for a reason. I wanted to highlight something. The little wheel piece here, it's not loose. It's actually on there nice and firmly. So it appears that the tolerance issue from the vehicle mode, it's not that the hole in this has become widened, it's that the peg that it's supposed to connect to seems to have been shrunk down for some reason. And that's odd. I don't know how or why that would have happened, but it appears it just lacks the ability to create enough friction to really hold on to that wheel. So I found that interesting. So as far as analyzing the robot mode itself, again, it just seems it's not bad, and a lot of that ridiculously excess gray gets kind of just folded up onto his back and hidden away, which is nice. But it still seems to be just kind of slightly inferior to the original. They do get at least some kind of color blending going on here, but it's not done in any kind of gradient. It's done in like sharp lines. Look at his ankles here. Why is it like that? Why is there just a point as you get toward his feet where the green just goes away and it's cut off and turns gray? You kind of got the same thing going on with the shoulders too. I don't know. I don't understand what is happening. It seems that whoever they hired to just kind of come up with this new deco, I don't know, they were asleep at the wheel or something. It's just so odd. I don't feel like all that gray is adding anything to the figure. If anything, it's kind of taking it away. Kind of reminds me of the Magnus toy, where he was covered in just, you know, excessive gray all over. But in that case, there's apparently a reason for it, right? Whether it's the color draining out of him or he's dirty because of that black yucky stuff. You know, there's something to it. This just seems like they wanted to really cut back on the paint budget. So I don't know, it's just, the color choices are all weird. All right, here's the group shot again. And they're just, I don't know, there seems to be so much more going on here with the Siege version. I mean, heck, he's even got tail lights for crying out loud. So, I don't know. This guy kind of, he really, I know I said it before, but he looks unfinished. He looks like something in the planning stage or the concept phase before really finalizing the paint scheme. And these two are just covered in all sorts of paint operations, and they just look so much better in my opinion. So I'm not really sure what happened here. I feel for a line that has mostly good recolors of toys, this is where they just kind of stopped caring or something. Now, I know a lot of the changes made to the figures' decos and their shading and coloring were meant to reflect the new Netflix show, and I really hope that's not the case for him, because that just means Hound in the cartoon is going to look really plain and just gray in places for no reason. So, kind of worries me a little bit. You know, I've had my nitpicks and gripes about a lot of these new Netflix toys, but I feel like this one, I don't like it. It just seems like such a downgrade. And I don't understand it. I don't know what was going through anybody's head when they designed this new coloration. Between that and the QC issue, this is a pretty drastically inferior toy to the original. I mean, the colors just aren't even appealing. So my thoughts on this, as a toy itself, the mold is solid. The Siege Hound mold is a very, very well done figure. The colors are just abysmal though. So if you were going to pick one, I would definitely get the original Siege toy. He just looks so much better. Even if his color scheme may not match 100% to how he's going to look in the show, he just looks better. He really does. So, whether I recommend this figure, I really only recommend it under two conditions. One, if you don't have the Siege Hound and you just cannot find him anywhere, though he's a pretty solid shelf warmer in places, so that shouldn't be hard to find. So either that, or if you're just an absolute completionist and you need to get the full background and all that, then sure, if you want to drop $20 on him to finish that. Otherwise, I mean, God, stay away. This is such a poorly executed redeco. I'm really disappointed. Most of the other Netflix toys, they've been, ranging from great to okay, and this is just trash. I hate it. I don't understand. They already took a toy that didn't sell so great the first time around and they made it worse. What were you thinking? But I don't know. Am I being too harsh on this? Am I just giving him too hard of a time? Maybe. I would love to know what you all think of this new toy. Is he better than I think he is, or are you as disappointed as me? Make sure to leave your feedback in the comments section. I really am looking forward to seeing what comes next. Having looked at, the completed backdrop and realizing it's anything but complete. If anything, it only looks about half finished. What are we getting next? Obviously, there's more deluxes on the way. Now, I hope they do more original characters, or more characters that, have new takes on them, like Mirage. Because if we just get 5 more of like your standard Siege toys with slightly changed decos, that's just going to be lame. Again, I get it. I get where their head's at with marketing, but I'm going to very begrudgingly finish that Teletrand 1 backdrop if that's the case. I hope we get some more new stuff. Anyway, if you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post new. I thank you for joining me for this very disappointing look at an otherwise good figure. And with all that said, I will see you next time.